Diabetes. It can feel like a loaded word. It's a chronic health condition, a life-changing diagnosis, and there are plenty of questions and misconceptions about it. Diabetes affects both your body and your mind. So learning to live well with diabetes has two equally important puzzle pieces: building routines that keep your body running smoothly, and working through the roller coaster of emotions that life throws your way. The ups, the downs, the loop-the-loops. The first big hurdle in managing type 2 diabetes is usually coping with your diagnosis. You might feel overwhelmed by responsibility now that you have to track what you eat more carefully. You might feel scared of making a mistake with your medication or insulin. You might feel relief because you finally have an explanation for some symptoms you've been living with, or shock because you didn't notice anything strange. Whatever you're feeling, it's okay. There's no wrong path as you find your way towards acceptance. If you only remember one thing I say in this video, remember this: you're still you. It's not your fault you have diabetes, and you're much more than your diagnosis. All of a sudden, it can feel like type 2 is the only thing you should pay attention to. But the rest of your life is still there. You have things to do, dreams to pursue, and a community that cares about you. You just also have to think about your blood sugar more often than some other people do. If you're having trouble coping, it's important to remember that you are not alone. You might find that it helps to talk to someone you trust, like a close friend, a counselor, or a doctor. You might just be looking to vent, or you might want their advice. Some days, processing the emotions that come with type 2 will be harder than others, and coping strategies that help one day may backfire on another. For instance, you might find that if you start sharing your diagnosis with people around you, some of them will be helpful, but others may accidentally make things worse. It can be super frustrating to get unsolicited opinions about whether you should eat dessert or when you should check your blood sugar. Even if your uncle, neighbor, or coworker has good intentions, it's your body. You know yourself best. The toughest comments to deal with are rooted in harmful misconceptions about diabetes. Stigma around type 2 means that some people might judge you or blame you for your diabetes, or you might feel shame or guilt. Psychologically speaking, shame and guilt are like two sides of the same coin. They're different kinds of self-criticism. Shame is when you're disappointed in who you are. You might be ashamed that you have type 2 and feel like you don't deserve kindness or help. Guilt is when you feel like you did something wrong. You might feel guilty that something you did caused diabetes, so you're being punished. Thoughts like, if I had just done one thing differently, I'd be healthier. Or, I could have prevented this if only I wasn't such a couch potato. Awful, right? Awful to hear, awful to feel, awful to internalize and live with. Can I remind you again? It's not your fault. Diabetes isn't your fault. There are many risk factors for diabetes that you can't control, like your genetics, your ethnic background, and your age, and none of them are straightforward. What is straightforward is that believing you caused your diabetes can be really harmful to your health. Shame or guilt can snowball into conditions like anxiety or depression. You might stop paying attention to your medication or sugar levels, or you might avoid medical appointments. Or, out of fear that some people might judge you, you might not share your type 2 diagnosis with the people that care about you, so they won't know you need support. The biggest thing you can do to navigate these unknown choppy waters is remembering that you're still you, a complex human who deserves to live a full, happy life. Now, I'm going to issue a challenge to you. Find a way to release yourself of the burden that diabetes is your fault. Maybe you repeat it to yourself in the mirror without shame. Maybe you share your diagnosis with someone you trust, who you know will be supportive. Maybe you join a diabetes group in your neighborhood or online where you could tell your story openly and hear about others who are thriving with diabetes. Whatever you choose to do, I wish you courage as you take this big, important step to wellness. Thanks for watching this episode of How to Type 2.